So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to our study of the book Alert, uh, written by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis through Divaldo Franco. Today, we are already on lesson 33 of the book, and it's about testimonies and trials. Okay, so I'm going to start reading and then we do our comments. And do remember that we are always recording our study group so that people can also have access to them later on if they could not join us today. Okay, so if you do not want your face or name to appear on the screen, you just can remove it easily. Okay, lesson 33, testimonies and trials. In your desire to ennoble what you dedicate yourself to, do not resist the brood of pains. Those who do not suffer the aggressive battles sleep in uselessness. The task you perform, as insignificant as you may find it, are ennobled and Christian. They bother the frivolous and tormented, provoking ire in some and envy in others. Be content with the pleasure of completing an obligation that you are obliged to perform. It is clear that you carry imperfections and that there are others who are more gifted than you. While they do not prepare themselves with good actions in small tasks, perform them yourself. So here, Joanna de Angelis is trying to make us reflect upon the occurrences of life, explaining to us that testimonies and trials are part of the experiences we are going to be facing, and we should not give up doing things, especially we're talking here about good things, just because they represent any kind of difficulty on our way. We should not be concerned as well with the size of the tasks we are performing, because whether they are big or small, they will definitely be important when we are talking about our personal involvement and all the steps we will have to be take will have to take in order to achieve that. There are obviously there are people that are not in the least concerned about any of that. They are much more still only focusing their goals on material things, on things that pertain to this world, because they have not yet opened themselves to a broader perspective of life. Some, even we could say, they have more possibilities of performing things than we do, but they do not. So it is not up to us to concern with what others should be doing or not. We should ourselves be engaged in any action of good as we can and just go ahead and do it, even when we face difficulties. Many times it's not unusual for us to see people or ourselves, dismayed when life offers us a bitter cup. And many times they can really be bitter and the cup is full. And because we are just starting on this path, when this happens, we feel like giving up. we feel like, questioning what's the point, if when I'm doing everything good that I can, I still have to face those things. What's the point? Where is the reward in all that? And this is because we are immediatists. We want things to happen immediately. We do not understand that this is a process that has been started, many incarnations ago. And today we are already so much better than before. And we will continue on growing in this path. So to us at this moment, that's why she's telling us, just go ahead, do not fight with the inevitable, but be sure that what is inevitable today, the difficulties, the injustices that we momentarily will have to face, they will disappear. They will disappear with our understanding of life and with the improvement not only of ourselves but of others. Any questions or comments so far?
And she mentioned the bother and the frivolence and torment provoke ire in some and awe in others.
Mhm.
Why this happen?
Because, in a way, in this process of growing, of becoming aware, or at least intrigued by, something else, other values, expanding our perspective to include the spiritual perspective, as we well know from experience, is not an easy one, right? And many people, although they have the glimpse of it, they try to avoid it. And the best way for them to try to avoid it is to try to justify to themselves that it doesn't work. And commonly we will see them saying, oh, look at so and so. They are so good, so Christian, so this, so that, pray all the time. And look how much, life is hard on them. So what is the point on doing, on being that good and still having to suffer this or that? So in a way, they feel irritated because when they see people doing what on the back of their mind they would already like to do it but can't, it irritates them and at the same time provokes envy because they are not capable of doing, even when they do not admit, not even to themselves, that this is what they would like to be able to do themselves. Most of the times they will say, oh, this is not for me, I don't want to go through this path, but on the back of their mind they're already craving for something else. And so this is why it is so hard. And at the same time, it incites them to move from their comfortable zone because they can no longer say, no one can do that. Well, they have people that they know that are doing that. So it is possible. It is only not possible for me now. And you see how disturbing this can be and how hard this can be. That's why, this path also, like yes, last week we were talking about, friends, acquaintances, is not so easy because now you're a constant reminder that it is possible to do something that they would like to do but are not capable of doing because it requires move away from their comfort zone. So this is basically why we see this kind of, things happening. And sometimes, others don't even have this desire yet, but they think us silly, and they become irritated with our, our good ways. Oh, you're always talking about, pray, forgive, be patient, be tolerant. Oh, come on. So again, you're a burden on their lives, even if they think they do not value at all what you think, the way you are and what you think. So, yeah, the transition is not easy, Let me see what. Uh, yes, Orlando. It's interesting that you say, in terms of the spirit world, would know the consequences of having a physical body. And actually, reading your question, I was thinking that the physical body is not that much a trouble, as a big problem as we think. Uh, uh, let's see if you all agree with me. I think that the greatest problem that we have, although it is a good one, is the forgetfulness of the past. Because now, when I get a physical body, I reincarnate, so to say, impaired to have access to my previous incarnations, my previous behaviors, previous commitments, which are the ones responsible for what is going to be happening to me now. So it is only natural that when I go through things, I say, I don't deserve that. Why on earth am I going through those things if I didn't do anything to provoke that? And of course, this leads us to rebelliousness, to complaining, because we do not have access. Our physical body impairs us of that. It's like, there is not a switch button in our physical body that I could go there. I want to remember this, this thing, or this one. And of course, the more we study, the more we understand that yesterday I was only worse than I am today, and so on, right? And if I do not, in this incarnation, even in this incarnation, want to think or remember, bringing back to my memory the things that I did that I regret, imagine bringing all of this. So, for the time being, we have to trust God, the creation that found it better for us not to have this kind of remembrance. And in a way, sometimes they represent a sort of respite. You see, it's when I can have a, a truce and say, well, let me rest from everything that was tormenting me, and let me hide in a physical body, almost like, brand new, and kind of, having a blank slate and start all over again. The thing is, it may seem that it's a blank slate, but it's not. It will never be. Yeah, and now that we know that, not only we can prepare better for this life, but for the ones to come. And this is what she's telling us here. You know, do not dismay, do not resist when you face those kind of difficulties, and lead them to make you give up. We came a long way already. We don't want to go back, you see. Let's read a little bit more. Oops.
Mhm.
It is better to walk with a limp than to have perfect members that would become paralyzed by criticism or biting criticism or indolence. If they stigmatize you as crazy when your behavior is righteous, exalt it even more than if you were educated and lucid, submerging your mind in the vapors of empty hours. If the Christian message fascinates you and is cultivated in the parterre of human solidarity, you are happier than if you found yourself with a cultivated mind which is still investigating immortality, which, after all, you already accept with ardor and faith. If you face hostilities because, sorry, because you are found in action, perform greater joys than if you were sought after, and consider to be seated on the throne of vain pride, conquered by the transience of those who adore themselves reciprocally. If you face enmity with love, this is more favorable to you than to be loved, albeit hated. Never excuse yourself from obligations you are committed to perform in your life. That's a hard one, right? I mean, so here she's saying, in other words, remember that passage from Jesus. If your eyes or your arm is the cause of scandal, it's better that you do not have it. So here she's saying that sometimes, and it's only natural that because of still our moral and spiritual evolvement, we will be in doubt. We will think, oh my God, I struggle, I limp, I struggle so much in this path of your righteousness to go to the narrow door. Whereas when I look at my neighbors and they don't have a war in their lives with spiritual or anything, and they see that they just march ahead without any kind of trouble. She's saying here, don't do that. This is not good for you. They still will have to go through everything you are going through. So don't uh, do not allow us to be the ones envy them. They are still in the backward of life because they have not yet awakened to things. So the idea here is for us to continue going ahead, continue working. Sometimes, they will we will be misunderstood. They will say that we are not educated, that we do not have the knowledge, but we have other knowledge. We have the knowledge of immortality, we have the knowledge of spirituality. So let this not be the reason for us to stop in the way that we are, uh, because sometimes they say even if we are advancing with blood, sweat, and tears, it's better than being in excellent health and uh, stop it, idle, in idleness, spiritual idleness. So it it may look something, but it's not. It's again the illusion of just thinking about the values of this world. And listen, we are not talking about the value of living in the world, which is so, so important for us. We are talking the values that people consider to be the values of the world, that is basically only focused on the here and now, on the completely material point of view. There is nothing wrong in, let's say, wanting to have a better job, and but a spiritual person will say a better job is going to give me, even more conditioned opportunities to perhaps expand my spiritual improvement. So you will not only think about the money, but you will think about the opportunity. You see, so you still can live in the world and enjoy the things of the world, but always looking at, with a different perspective. One thing that I normally say is that, of course, the more I started understanding about spiritual value, the more, I cannot watch a movie without thinking about the serious consequences of the actions sometimes we see in a movie, right? So now we see someone that betrays the other, and you say, well, what goes around comes around. It may not show in a 2-hour movie, but it will show later in life. Or, people that are, betraying others, and and of course others will not find out, but
Mm.
so what I'm trying to say here is that, when we have this spiritual perspective, we start appreciating life and looking at life with a much broader view. Not only, saying, like, when we were the past, oh, this person is a burden to me. Let me get rid of this person. And okay, I just lived my life like nothing happened. Well, now, with the spiritual perspective, we know quite well that this is not the case. Or, I mean, we may not even go to the streams of, killing the person, but we may kill a person with gossip, with malice. So, and I mean, we will have to deal with all of those consequences. Comments, questions? Okay, so let's read a little bit more. Testimonies and trials. There is no person who, when acting in goodness, does not rouse ostensive unpleasantness and shocking animosity. Honor the work that vitalizes you, and do not cede camp to malevolent or dissimulative persecution. So she's telling us here, please don't give up. You have walked a long way already, and it's not the time for you to move away. Yeah, there will be unpleasantness. There will be people that will be affected by it, that will try to deviate you, saying, "Oh, you're silly one, you're foolish one. Why do you pursue that? Look at your life. How much better is your life now than it was before?" Because they are only talking about material aspects. Your health is still not that great. Your job is still the same. They try to, to put you down. And this is what she's telling us. Do not give up on you, because here, when she says honor the work we are talking about here is not the work that we are doing to the world. It's the work that we're doing to ourselves. It may come in the form of us serving, or being of service. But the one that is reaping the benefits of being of service to others is you. So here, work is work on your behalf, on your own interest. And so it is very easy for us to, at this point in time or in evolvement that we are, to dismay, even to think about giving up. But she's she's telling us, go ahead, go ahead. It's like, when you are in the middle of the night and you say darkness will never go away, and you are only a couple hours from the sun to rise, but we don't see it. If we had a bit more of persistence and patience, we would have the or witness the sunrise, and with that, dissipating all the shadows. And the last paragraph here, she says, Jesus, whose life among us was the most sublime living poem of love, did not consider himself an exception. He loved and suffered, assisted and suffered, forgave and suffered. However, he never gave up or became discouraged, therefore demonstrating the excellence of his origin and the quality of his achievements, model and guide even today to us all. See here, what she's saying is, it's not even related to how much evolved we are, because Jesus is the purest spirit that has stepped on earth, right? But it's still part of the history of this planet that is going to change. But so far, while we are living in this transition, we will have this, things of, going through suffering because we are giving good to the world. And um, again, she emphasizes us here, take Jesus as model and guide, and also bear your cross, and better days will definitely be there for you, especially because of, the peace of mind. We came to a point, I do believe, or at least I want to believe, that all of us that are here studying week after week, that even if we want to think about giving up, our conscience would not allow us to do that, because back in our mind, we know that this is the right thing to do. It's not being easy. This transition has not been easy, but it's the only way. I mean, I don't want to go back, and I know that going forward is only going to get better. But I'm in the part of the route of the path that is still filled with hurdles. But each time more, I'm gaining experience, and each time more, they will not only disappear, but when they appear, I will know better how to deal with them. I will have more moral strength to deal with all that. Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Can I say then more involved we are, more the force of evil come to us, like something bad happen, to uh, leave us to give up this way or think like things. And I don't know, because I usually say, don't leave the shadow come through us. It's still in this way of light. Then every time something bad happen, I believe more strong I need to be and pray to support. Then this is a true.
You brought something very important, Sonia, because it is not uncommon for people to think that the more we try to be good, the more the bad negative forces will be on our way to prevent us to go forward. That's what we wanted to know, right? Yes, okay. Um, Perhaps at this point in life, we could say that the negative forces will be with us, whether we are good or bad. Let me explain how. If I'm bad, they will be with me, but then they are my friends. We go along very well, and I will give myself to please their whims. So they are here. They are not my enemy, but they are harmful to me. You see? When I move away for a time, what we will have is they will still continue with me, but now they are angry at me. How come you are changing? You are always my Paul. I know you're not going to be able to continue on this journey for long. Um, and they try to, as much as they can, to influence us to move back. So they will be very mad at us. So they were here with me before. They are here with me now. The only way for me to forever rid myself from them is to really change myself to the point that they will stay and say, I'm mad. I'm going to bring you back to me. I don't like this new you. It's just a phase. Like we have, with friends on the physical world. And then it will come to a point that they will say, I'm just wasting my time with her. It's a lost cause. And they will leave us. And the more they give up on us, the less we will feel their pressure. And the more we will be able, even more, to raise our thoughts and start making better friends, having better companions around us. You see, so for us on earth, we are pretty much, for those who are pursuing, their a spiritual journey, we are pretty much on the second phase where they are no longer our friends and they are working against us just to bring us back to their side. And this is why at times it feels that their presence is greater than before. It's not. They were there before, but I thought exactly like them. And this should never be a reason for us to move back, because if we move back and say, you know what, I can't stand this pressure. It's like, when let's use a physical example. You used to drink alcoholics, and then you had, your friends that would like to go to, and drink like yourself. All of a sudden you say, you know what, I don't want to drink anymore. My health or my wife is, is on my case, whatever, or my husband, whatever. Your friends will not feel happy about that. They will keep on, oh, come on, come with us, or, you're silly, you're never gonna make it. So they will keep on trying to make us go back to our old ways. And it's only after a period of extreme resilience that we will be able later on to say, I really no longer drink. You see, but then if you ask me, were you better before that you didn't feel this pressure but was in the wrong way? Or you better now that you feel this pressure but is on the path of righteousness, something that is going to be good for you. And so I think we should always reflect about that and understand that, this is how it happens. And it will come to a point, which is the third stage, that you're no longer going to have the craving for the old self, and not only, the pressure for you, inner or outwardly, for you to continue in the old ways.
Yes, I totally understand, because sometimes each item, then I need to improve for myself and put it in the way and all my efforts. Then start to think like traps to try to deviate myself for this.
Yes.
And yeah, and then I need to be more and more. I really want to change myself in this. And then after a time, then one day I realized, wow, I never be like this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes sense for me what you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
all your explanation.
Yeah. But it's very important to express that, because many people say, oh no, the pressure on the bad spirit is too much. I cannot handle that, and then they use that as an excuse not to pursue a spiritual path anymore. But the thing is, they were already there before. But now they were, then they were happy. Now they are not, but they were there. Okay. And just one thing here from Orlando. Uh, Spiritism. Is there is one thing that I always like to point out in terms of spiritism. Is spiritism does not dictate anything in terms of how we have to live our lives. There is not a set of rules, and there is not a group of don'ts. It only brings us enlightenment as to the understanding of the realities of us being an immortal spirit. Now you have a perspective of immortality and reincarnations. So, with this perspective in mind, and knowing that what you reap is what you sow, what you're going to be doing with your life, with your time, it's up to you. There will be guidance, but there will never be imposition. So it is in this way that we benefit from awareness, you see. And it's in this way that Kardec, the codifier of Spiritism, always said, use your reason. Do not accept things just because people are saying, oh, because this is the way it is. No, reason. Think about it. Think about the logic. And I mean, if each of us are very true to ourselves and start analyzing our lives, we will see many intriguing things that maybe the only explanation will actually be you having lived other lives, and even analyze what we did now in this life and saying, well, now I'm just reaping the consequence of what I did 10 years ago. You see, so spiritism is main goal is to bring us enlightenment, and with that, help us to live a better life in terms of becoming more spiritual aware of our true nature. And as a consequence, we will have more peace of mind, happiness, because we will be able to make better choices.
Well, I'm kind of new,
Uh-huh.
and I'm reading a lot. And I remember in Heaven and Hell, um, there was a emphasis on not becoming too attached to things in our material world. Well, I thought, yeah, that's right. But I never really looked inside of myself to see how attached I might be. So I really, didn't know what to expect in the way of spiritual guidance. I don't know if I thought I'd get a telephone call from my spirit guide saying, for $20 a month, I'll answer all your questions. But my point here is the lessons are subtle and they come slowly. Just this past couple of weeks, I had one. I started thinking about a particular coat sweater that I really, really love. It has decorative gold buttons on it and pockets, and it's one of my favorite things. And I didn't realize how attached I really was to it. Anyway, I started thinking about it. So I looked in my closet and I couldn't find it. Well, I searched all of the closets in my house. I never found it. I kept going back and looking for it and looking for it. Didn't show up. So one day, and I was feeling this tremendous sense of loss, So one day I just said to myself, look, someone else is having the pleasure of wearing your sweater. You obviously left it somewhere. So just let it go and forget about it. It was only a thing. Okay, that was great. So just the other day, I went to the same closet where I had searched every single hanger there and never found that sweater. Now I wasn't thinking about the sweater anymore at all. Went in the closet and just sort of glanced down, and I thought, what's that? And I looked, and it was this sweater. And I thought, how could I have missed that? And I don't know. I really don't have an explanation of why I couldn't find it. I just know it wasn't there, but now it is. But I learned the lesson that you have to let go of things. Don't allow yourself to become so attached, because when you leave, you only make it harder for yourself. So that's what I think.
Yeah, Marlene, you are absolutely right. Maybe, a good spirit said, well, Marlene has been such a good student in his spirituality. Let us, uh, take her lessons to a next level. It happened to me something similar already, in my case, it was a bracelet that I lost, and I only found it a year later, and it was on the drawer of my cutlery that I opened like 3 or 4 times every
Every.
day.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it took a year for any of us, I mean, and not only myself opened the drawer, right? So I think the spirits went there and they cover that with what we call it spiritual energy ectoplasm, and we don't see it. And after a while, in my case, I think it was a trick from the spirits that wanted to trouble me. But in your case, I think it was a good spirit that wanted to, use that as a teaching opportunity. But yeah, it's amazing, and it is unbelievable certain things. But
Very subtle.
absolutely,
Very
yes,
subtle. It,
yes, yes,
you don't
yes.
see it coming.
No, absolutely not. But I'm happy that you found it, and now you not only you found it, but also you got this lesson, and yeah, and I mean, every time we're talking about materiality, I mean, the spirits is not asking us to become, Francis of Assisi, give up of everything from the world. It's just a matter of attachment. And
Mhm.
sometimes we excessively attach ourselves not only to things, but to people as well, to situations, to addictions, So do not become attached to anything, because sooner or later we all are going to not have that any longer. And like you say, it's going to be easier for us just to leave behind what belonged to this world in the first place. So yeah, but while you're there, enjoy it. Don't leave it there, because sometimes I think the worst thing is when people purchase things that they like so much, but they don't use it, because you're like, they have to put it on display, right? They do not enjoy it. So this is extreme attachment. So please enjoy everything, knowing that it's going to be left behind. Okay, so Philip, could you do our final prayer to us, please?
Certainly. Just one comment before.
Oh,
I,
sure.
I've had that same experience where I put something down. I kept looking where I put it, and it took a year before I could see it.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Let us take a moment and be thankful for the opportunity to learn and understand the impact we have in the world, and be grateful to God, Jesus, and the guiding spirits that we have at least accepted the responsibility to try to improve ourselves and to work on that as we move forward through life. With that in mind, we can encourage others by our actions to do the same. Let us be grateful for what we have and for what we have done so far, and say that we are extremely grateful for all that is in our path. So be it.
So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.